Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to the More Balanced Podcast, where we talk about topics supporting a more balanced life. I'm your girl, Mo, and in today's episode, we will discuss men's health. So before we jump in, we always have to check in. I hope everyone is feeling blessed. Truthfully, I've been a little up and down. No time to sugarcoat anything. It's all a part of the process. But you know what? I'm here. We're healthy. We have so many opportunities and success to come. So let's just be grateful and mindful of those things. So, love on you today and every day is the main reminder, no matter what. Now, I hope everyone's week has been amazing thus far. As usual, I got my fave Shirley biscuits and ready to vibe out with my listeners. So, if you're relaxing or taking a nice shower, heading out to run errands, either way, I'm glad you're sharing your time with me. So put some volume on that Bluetooth, grab your fave bev, snack, or whatever your routine is, get comfortable, and let's take this time to get balanced. So, quick disclaimer to my fellas, we are here to support you with this episode and your overall health. You can't be functional if you're not healthy. So it's time to love on the fellas in our lives. Let's uplift them. But fellas, remember, you have to play your part as well. So, in case you didn't know, June is Men's Health Awareness Month. And this month encourages boys, men, to take charge of their overall health by implementing more healthy living decisions. And we all know some men that don't focus much on their health, so it's important that we remind them and bring this awareness to them, your loved ones, co-workers, friends, any male in your life. We know that the number one fact is that men are less likely to seek health care than women, a very proven fact. And this can be from a lack of many things, lack of insurance, lack of knowledge, or just feeling like healthcare is just not of importance, and many other things. But we have to remind our men that, there's so many suffering from diabetes and hypertension, heart disease, lung cancer, prostate cancer, depression, and many more. Um, so before we get started, I challenge each and every one of us that have men in their lives, whether brother, father, uncle, cousin, friend, co-worker. I encourage us to, encourage them to schedule a routine checkup. If that's just one thing, like let's just get this checkup and get situated, making sure that everyone is nice and healthy. Most time guys wait until something happens before they try to visit a healthcare provider. But preventative care is easier when followed and having like certain things maintained and having that maintenance instead of trying to correct your health. We sit and we talk about all these disease processes, and I truly enjoy spreading that message and just trying to make sure we have our gentlemen nice and fit and healthy. Reminding them like get adequate sleep, and nutrition, and just keep you fueled. All these things is what's going to kind of fuel you, like the gas in your car, and the oil. You need these things to keep that engine running. So it's the same thing when it comes to our bodies. Now, prioritize your physical health so you can maintain all the things in your life. You have your careers, your families, but most importantly, you. And being healthy means that you can be around for your loved ones, for yourself, and just being able to enjoy life and not have to worry about anything that can happen, anything that can come up that could have been prevented, right? Because physical health is the key. It keeps you the most functional. But I also feel that we have to touch base on the mental health as well, because it's equally as important in order to be functional. And you have to be present within yourself. And being present means being able to process everything in your life and then being able to apply it. So not being in a healthy mindset leads you to certain setbacks. You begin to skip the gym because there's no energy, or you start eating anything, like something quick, instead of actually having a more well-balanced meal. You shelter yourself away from others and interactions because maybe you're just not feeling like yourself. It's just so many different avenues. So it's important that on top of your physical health, you focus on the emotional and the mental aspect as well. So I think that it's important to just share different signs of, mental breakdowns, because this is something that's not discussed a lot in our communities, especially amongst our men. And some signs of mental breakdowns are just feeling overwhelmed and detached and angry, irritable, just that helplessness feeling and just burnt out. The list can continue, but it's just not feeling like yourself. You start having more emotional outbursts. And with statistics state that nearly 1 in every 10 men experience anxiety or depression, and at least half of those men will receive treatment. That's just mind-boggling. And I know a lot of it comes from the fact that men may not speak on their mental health due to societal expectations of them, the stigma that men are viewed as strong and, having to show emotion as a sign of weakness. And trust me, we know that's one category that these men do not want to live by. And then there's the feelings of shame, because as the man, you feel like your position is supposed to be having everything together, not needing help, not having to feel like you don't have control over your life. And then even being raised from a young age and being taught to just be emotionless and just tough. Don't cry, don't speak on how you feel, toughen up, the stop acting like a girl. It's just not fair. And it's just making it more challenging, for gentlemen to reach out for the help in fear of judgment. Which then leads our men to start to speak negatively about themselves. And that starts to invite in like destruction into your life. You begin to become this person who's proclaiming like, this is who you are. Oh, this is just who I am, accept it. Or like, I'm a bad person and I've learned to deal with these things. These are just signing contracts with the enemy and you're not even aware of it. And then there's times when you've experienced loss, pain, or abandonment, hurt, abuse. And you start to realize that you're not getting the same support and guidance as women. Because let's just be real, you don't see a lot of support groups to help young men and older men on these journeys that they don't even speak of. Just suffering in silence. You see a lot more programs that are geared towards women and young women, teenage girls. Like, you don't really have that for men. And I wonder sometimes if it's just because you're just viewed as supposed to have it all together. And you're just expected to be this leader and a strong individual with no faults. Because that's not what men do. Men don't sit around at a round table and discuss their emotions or discuss their feelings. That's something that women do. And I feel like we have to take a step back and realize that just as much as women need support, our men need even more support, because our men are being faced with many more challenges than we are. And a lot of those things they suppress and they don't speak on them for these same reasons. And yes, society has painted a negative picture of men, and okay, they're slacking in different areas and just blaming everyone but themselves, thinking that men literally are just here for, how can we say it, just here for the moment. What can they get from you, what can they achieve? It's not fair, because not all men are doing these things. And there's men that are literally trying to hustle and do anything to improve themselves, but they're not getting the credit. They're being knocked down. And it's like, when a trying man is trying and he's seeing that his efforts aren't going anywhere, what does that cause him to do? So it's something that we have to take into consideration as well. Because a lot of the times, if you're in a relationship, or you're the parent or the grandparent, the guardian, the friend, the best friend, the sister, the cousin, sometimes you tend to judge a little bit and you don't even realize that you're being judgmental. Or if, they come to you and they try to explain something to you, kind of shut them down in the moment. That's just going to make them literally close everything off and keep things to themselves. We have to find a way to be a little bit more open and encouraging, because there's probably moments when we don't realize that it's a cry for help, and instead we're being so judgmental and ignoring the signs. Whew, let me tell you. So with certain social connections, they can act as a buffer towards the impact of the stress or negativity in your life. Turning to certain quote unquote pleasures, as in drinking or smoking or sexual behaviors, or just involving yourself in risky situations. That's just leading you more towards not addressing your mental state. And the next thing you know, it's impacting every aspect of your life, your relationships and the quality and the function and just everything. And then you're left with feeling like, well, where do you go from here? Because you have no one you can turn to. You don't have that support group. They say, oh, the counseling will help. And yes, but that's only if you're willing to reach out. And sometimes reaching out for the help is the hardest part. But in these moments, we just want to remind you that taking back the control in your life is more beneficial. Renewing your environment, trying your hardest to turn away from those risky behaviors. Confiding in someone that you can truly trust for that support. Telling someone that's close to you, a support system, or finding just one person that you can feel that you can be yourself with. Because most times we don't realize your pain behind your smile, or your jokes. Because we're so programmed to thinking that's just who you are. You want to tell jokes, you're doing certain things, or you're involving yourself in certain ways, but like, oh, this man is living his best life. He's out here and he's having fun and he has all these different women, or he's out here and he's in college and he seems so focused. He's always to himself. But not realizing that behind the mask is the true feelings. Now, parents, let's take a moment. If you are raising young men, allow them to be open. Encourage them to have their emotions, to feel. So much damage is being caused by trying to follow this previous stigma that I mentioned. That we're teaching men to kind of lock off your emotions, and not realizing the effect that it's going to have. What about when your son starts to navigate this world? How's he going to be able to understand certain things if he has closed himself off from society? Or when it's time for him to go on and become someone's partner and not being able to connect to them because he's been taught to not show love, to not show affection, or better yet, when he becomes a father and now he has no other choice but to show this love and safety and be someone's safety because it's needed so that he can groom his children. But instead, he's passing on those same hurts. And the cycle just keeps repeating. So it's very, very, very important that we start this from young. If you're a parent, starting from young. If you're just now hearing this and your child is, a preteen, start now. It's never too late. What's the worst is that when we're showing the men in our lives, or, the men that was in their lives, they start to become programmed to think that this is how their mind is supposed to be set. And they put themselves in these defensive states and decide that it's better to be sheltered than to try to be open and show, I don't want to say who they truly are, but show a different side of them that could be crying for help. It's also important that, fellas, start to stand up for yourselves. I know it may seem that this is how my life has been since I was a child, or, this is how it is in my culture, but this is how I was shown to be because this is how my father was or how my grandfather was. And we don't speak on those things. We don't give hugs. We don't tell each other that we love each other. We don't wish each other well. Maybe it's time to start a different trend. Because everybody needs a little bit of love. Everybody needs a hug. Everybody needs that understanding. And ladies, when you have these men in your lives, don't tear them down. Don't make them feel worse if they're deciding to open up and show certain emotions or share certain stories with you about their past, their upbringing, or like something that may have happened in their life, a traumatic experience that's causing them to now be more sheltered. Instead of laughing or talking about it, or the worst one, throwing it in their face and making them feel bad about these things or feel less than because they decided to confide in you. Instead, support them. Be their helper. Be that listening ear. Pray for them. There's so many things that we can do to be more supportive with the men that are around us. As you can see, not even just physical health and mental health, safety. Safety has been an issue, an ongoing issue that we have seen on the news and in different states. It's sad. We're losing a lot of our men to violence. And a lot of our men are turning to the streets, in a sense, to find that safety and security, because in their homes, they're not shown those things. So this is how I'm supposed to be as a man. I should be a gang member, or I should be out here and involving myself in certain things. Like, this is my family. These are the ones that are protecting me because my blood family has abandoned me. The safety is a big issue. And in order for us to take back control within our communities, within every aspect of our community, of course, we can talk about the finances, we can talk about all type of economic things. But right now, it's important. It's important for us to start to cherish and show love and support, because the guys are in need of it. Our men are hurting. Our men need an outlet. Our men need to feel that safety and security as well. Our men need to be shown love. Our men need to be shown affection. Our men need to be taken care of as well. And now I know some people might come for me because, yes, the man is the provider, he's the leader, he's all of these things. He protects. But he also needs to be loved. He also needs to be nourished. Because in order for these things to happen, in order for him to take his stance, how else is it going to get there? What aspects does he need, It's something to really sit down and think about. Because too often, we're too wrapped up in what society thinks and what we're told that a man is supposed to do and a man is supposed to look like and be like. But not realizing that maybe a lot of these characteristics that the men are showing are due to the hurt that they're feeling, due to the lack of security that they're feeling. because maybe the person that was supposed to nurture them didn't properly, or they were taken advantage of, or they were abused by those that said that they loved them. So you have to realize that, like, we all wear a mask, and these cover-ups, these layers that our men have to carry around, these burdens that they have to carry around on their backs, and still smile and still be present and still be, that college student, still be that high school student, that middle school student, because trust me, it's getting younger and younger, still be that father figure, still be that husband, still be that grandfather, that boyfriend, whatever title they have in their life. But it's challenging to be in those titles because of the hurt and the pain that they're carrying. And then we all know what happens, right? What do hurt people do? They hurt people. So now your loved ones and those that are closest to you, you're kind of bleeding onto them, and they're dealing with the brunt of your pain and your hurt and your suffering, because now you don't know how to reach out for that help. You don't know who you can turn to, who you can talk to. So you have all of these emotions bottled up inside, and we always take it out on those closest to us, because for one, we feel like they'll always be here, so they can handle it, they can take it. I can pour out on my mother, I can pour out on my sister, I can pour out on my wife, my grandmother, whoever, my cousins, my boss, my co-workers. Just now, different people in your life are now getting taken down because of how you're feeling. When in actuality, all you really need is love. All the trauma and all the hurt, and you just need love. I'm telling you, we can go on. This is a very touchy and deep topic here. But once again, if you can take anything away from this episode today, I would ask that you take away the knowledge of just getting started. Taking a look at your life, your whole life, and realizing that you need to take better care of yourself, physically, emotionally, and mentally, so that you can be whole. Because we have so many broken men, and it's not their fault, and they don't know how to get back to being whole because they haven't been taught that, or they haven't been shown that. And you're here and you're trying to, be present in moments where you can't. If you have somebody in your life that's willing to be there and to help, let them, allow them in. I know it's easier to shelter yourself away and to guard your heart, so that way these certain parts of you aren't, well, let's say, not saying being taken advantage of, but for people to say that they can have a one-up on you, or use it against you at some point. It's not what that's about anymore. What it's about is just really trying to mend that brokenness. And that self-control. Because when you're broken, there's a lack in self-control. And the self-control is a key component in your makeup. And with no self-control, how can you be the man that you're intended to be? How can you lead? How are you able to distinguish between the good and the bad? What you should allow, And a lot of the times you can't make these much needed decisions because you have no control over you and no control over your actions and the things that you're going through. So that's something to really sit down and just take into consideration and really, really think about it. But I hope that today's episode was very enjoyable, especially for our men and also for our women. Just to open up and just see the difference in our fellas and different things that they need, or different ways that you can be more present in their lives, because all of those things are so important. I hope that now we're able to each one have an understanding of everything that we offer and everything that we can offer, and how it takes a team to make things work, how that support system, like I always fall back on that village, it's really taking all of us to help each other. Let's build back up our community. Let's build back up stronger men and women, but right now it's about our men. Let's take that control back. Fellas, please, take a moment, think about it. I might not resonate right now, but at some point it may. And just realize just how much of that burden can be lifted off of your shoulders if you just take a deep breath and breathe and inhale and exhale, because it's time to wash away all of those emotions and all of that hurt and all of that pain and suffering. It's time to let go. It's time to heal, and it's time to grow. Let's be healthier in mind, body, and spirit. Well, my loves, I hope you enjoyed yourself today. And if you did, please make sure to like, share, and download my podcast. Check me out on YouTube at Mo Balance, on Instagram at Mo_balance_, and join my balance group at Mo Balance on the Geneva app. Here we stay connected and updated, share comments and topics that you would like discussed this season. Remember to check back next week and every Wednesday for new episodes. More life.